Well, take it away, Holly.
Okay, well, welcome to the Boozy Botanical Podcast.
The first ever!
Yes! We are, as you can tell, very excited. And the word boozy is a very accurate part of this name.
I am drinking a margarita that Holly poured.
Yes, same. Shout out to the Trader Joe's margarita mix. It is so delicious. But yes, my name is Holly. I'm Concrete Botanical on Instagram. And here I have my lovely co-host.
I'm Angelique. I am not big on Instagram. I am Succa for Plantas, Succa, or the other one. And we're here finally doing a show that we've been talking about for a little bit.
Yes, we're so excited. Basically, we are two friends who love to have happy hour and talk about plants. So that is what we figured we would do. And I think it's going to bring some value along the way.
I'm excited.
Yes.
To provide some context, by the way, Holly and I have been friends not for that long, really, which is crazy. I think only like a year and a half or so.
I think so. Like, I know by my cat Fitzy, whenever he has a birthday, well, he's only one, so that's how I know, because how we met was the day I got my cat. I invited you and our other friend Aurora to come over to meet my kitty.
It was July of 2019. I met you at the Game of Thrones party.
Yes.
We had always met informally.
Yeah. Kind of like acquaintances or friend to friend sort of thing. But I was like, tell Angelique to come over too, because I know you had a cat and Fitzy was my first cat. So it was just such a special bonding moment over my kitty.
We have all these cute photos of Holly, her husband Tyson, Aurora, her boyfriend Cass, and me just sitting in a tiny bathroom passing around this kid.
Yes.
Oh, it's so cute. By the way, if you guys hear anything, we have a cat and a dog in the house as well.
Yes, so please excuse them. They love to be involved, but, we're here for it.
It looks like it's nap time, though. Everyone's asleep, so we might be okay.
Okay, good. But yeah, so we haven't been friends that long, but we both love plants.
We bonded so quickly, I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm such a noob at plants. I think everyone needs to know that from the jump. So I guess for me, I've always liked plants, but it was not a big part of my life. And when we kind of became friends that July, because again, we knew each other sort of, but when I'd become friends with Holly, I had finally started a little collection because Aurora, as well as my boyfriend Josh, they had given me some plants for my birthday because I killed my one succulent that May, and it was really traumatic.
But everyone has killed a succulent, That's something you learn right away.
I felt so much shame. I felt shame because I had it for 2 years. And
well, that's good that you kept it alive for 2 years. Yeah. That's pretty admirable, honestly.
I think my best friend Autumn kept it alive for one of those years. So.
You inherited it?
Well, she was, and I don't think I ever actually told you this, and sorry guys, I'm sidetracking a little bit, but Josh and he used to work at a nonprofit, and I volunteered for them for an event they would do over the summer. And this was summer of was it 2017. It was June of 2017. And one of the events at this conference they were doing they were using succulents for table toppers.
So cute.
It was so cute. But these people weren't really plant lovers. We were cleaning up on the last day, and they had a box full of succulents, and they're like, to the garbage we go, I guess.
Oh, no.
If nobody's gonna take them. And I was like, why are you killing? Because to me, I look at plants and I'm like, there's a life in there.
I know. It's a living thing.
I'm like, yes. I was like, don't do that. So I took 2 little babies from there. They were starter. They were maybe 2 inches or whatever, or maybe 4. I don't remember. But at the time, my best friend Autumn and Josh were roommates, and she had a great west-facing window out of her kitchen, and it just she already had herbs there and stuff, and her basil was always to the roof. Nice. Pretty much. So I was like, oh, I'll just leave this here because the house I live in is dark. So and I was over all the time, so it blew up of no help of my own. I never watered it or anything. She did it. And then when I took it over, when we moved in together, it was fine. But I was like, succulents are great indoors, I bet. They don't need that much light, I'm sure. It's fine. So
it's the lie everyone is told.
Right. I ended up buying grow lights because I was like, it doesn't look happy and it's winter. I think that's bad.
Right.
So,
oh no.
So it was good for like a year. Like I was doing okay. And then, message to everyone, be receptive about your watering schedule with your partner. Cause I think I had watered, then he had watered. I didn't know he watered or whatever.
It's like if you feed your pet breakfast twice because you guys didn't communicate.
And the pet's the happiest.
Yes.
Whereas this one's like, no, I'm drowning.
In this case, he was not happy.
No, I come back from Thailand and it's flopped over as I went on a trip that May.
Okay.
But then I started up my plant collection. So I was like a month and a half in, and then I met you. And I was like, can you work on my plant?
Well, okay, this is so funny. Okay, this is a really funny story because when I first met you at the Game of Thrones party, you had, you're like, oh, I have a plant question for you. I hear you're the plant girl. I'm like, okay. And you had said that your plants had a baby. You're like, and I was like,
I stand by this, Holly.
But it's so funny because I'm like, what is she talking about?
I know, and I could tell that you thought I was weird, and I was like,
I didn't think you were weird. I just thought for sure you were misinformed. You know what I mean? Because succulents.
She doesn't know things.
No, it's just that like it made logical sense what you were saying, but because I had already known that succulents stretch, or it's called like.
Looking for the sun or whatever,
what is
right?
that word though? It's called etil. No. Anyways,
don't look at me.
You guys, you guys know it starts with an E when succulents get stretched. So I just, I kind of like assumed that's what it was, but I didn't want to burst your bubble because you were so excited that you had a.
I still stand by it. It is okay, guys. I guess it was an echeveria.
Yeah, I think it was. Must have been. It was like because didn't you have a jelly bean succulent in there too, like a sedum?
This is where we disagree. I'm almost positive I had jelly beans, and then I had an echeveria, and I was like, I don't think this happens in the plant kingdom, but one day because this happened at Autumn's is where this thing was born, so it got that bright light. So I was like, I don't think it's. I didn't know stretching was a thing yet, but I was like, it's beating down. Like, it's really bright. So this vine developed out of these plants. Maybe it was a flower that went haywire and like it just didn't die. I don't know. Yeah. But this vine developed and it still had like the kind of almondy echeveria leaves, but they were spiky. Right. But they were skinnier. They were like more jelly bean shaped. And I was like...
I mean, like I said, I could realize why you would think that, but I almost promise you one of them were stretched.
Really? Yeah. That's so crazy. I like to think that I mated plants. Like I'm a plant breeder. So.
I mean, that is a thing that does happen, plant hybrids and things. But
that has to be done in a lab? Question mark?
Or like by pollinating the flowers. So there's like, obviously there's tissue culture, which that is in a lab, but then I believe to get hybrids, like Philodendron majestic, I believe it's just like the way that the flowers are pollinated together.
So weird. Because I was like, I don't understand where this vine came from. Like I have an intruder, and it could have been an intruder. Like who knows if a seed
weed, maybe? I don't know. I mean,
honestly, it really could have been a weed now that I think about it. I guess weeds could vine, right?
Yeah. Well, I more so find weeds in my outdoor plants, not so much in my indoor plants. But if you maybe at the time you had old soil from the nursery where
this it probably had years old of soil.
So who knows, But
also too, okay, this is irrelevant now, guys, but
do we want to do the catch up first and do our housekeeping before we get into how we got into plants as today's topic?
Totally.
All right. You go first then. Let's see. How was your week?
Thank you so much for asking. My week has been good. As you guys will soon learn, I'm a nanny by day, actor by night.
Woo woo.
I'm not a stripper. I just don't make any money, which is why I say I'm an actor by night.
Not at nighttime only.
not nighttime only.
Just when you're not nannying.
NTO. So I'm a nanny to pay the bills. Me and Holly are both in Los Angeles, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that.
Yes.
But so for me, I've been here, just so you guys get a little sense of who I am. I've been in LA for going on 4 years. I think this January makes 4 years.
Nice.
So I was an assistant for a while. That was a nightmare. So I switched to like odd jobs plus nannying because families pay in this town like crazy. So
it's true. It's very common to have nannies out here.
Yeah, it's, rich people need help. So
I can't because of my business.
I have to go get my nails done. So.
Well, it's so funny because I was actually, not to interrupt you, but I was quoting that Caitlin girl on TikTok. She's so funny. And she does this LA mom skit. And she's like, Maddox is not allowed in any downstairs portion of the house.
Of course his name's Maddox.
Yeah.
Is that Angelique Jolie's kid?
I think so, yeah. But it's just funny that that's the name that she's chosen. So for every one of her skits, she's like, I don't think we should be feeding Maddox peaches. Anyways, it just reminded me. So. But
some of that's true. So like,
is it?
In some, a lot of families are really down to earth, but some of them are like, calm down, But that's what I do. So, it's the age of COVID right now. So thankfully I'm working, but
we're recording. I'm sorry. We're recording this December of 2020 for some context.
Yes, but yeah, so it's very diseased, I guess, is what it is right now. Yeah. But thankfully I'm working. So I hang out with a 4.5-year-old every day, 5 days a week. And she's an adventurer. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you will see some of our adventures. You guys
did a planting day, didn't you?
We did.
That's so cute.
She's such a sweetheart, and she really loves being artistic. So Holly actually let me, I guess you gave it to me. I'm not giving it back. Very shallow. Are they 2-inch wide?
So what's funny is they're 6-inch in diameter, but they're 2-inch deep. So they're like imagine like a bowl, like a very shallow bowl planter.
Right. It's a terracotta pot. And so Holly gave them to me, and I brought paint and stuff. So she got to design her own pot. And then I brought some little succulents I found at the flower market downtown, and she just got to like decide which ones that she wanted in her pot, and then I helped her like loosen the soil. As in like AKA like she found that part annoying. So I was doing that part, and it's so cute because like I can check on it every week because it's at her dad's house, so I can be like, let's see, how are these feeling and stuff, so I can show her like it's getting a little soft, I should put some water in it, and so it's really cute.
It's so fun.
Yeah, so we have our adventures. She's also really like weirdly smart, like the other, and like
a mini genius.
She made me read a calculus book the other day, a calculus book for kids.
Oh.
Well, I was like, select 3 books for reading time.
That's pretty cool.
And she has a calculus book for kids. It's really cute. It's about X not having any friends, but you know how like in high school there was always like FX together.
Oh yeah,
I don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But it's like F showing him how great he is, and then all the other letters want to be his friend now.
I wish I had a book like that because I felt like I was always so bad at math.
I'm dumb.
Oh my god, that's so cool. So that is your job.
Yeah, so I guess overall had a good week, prepping for Christmas and everything. But
yes,
it's been good. How are you? Because you busy all the time.
I'm so busy lately, but not all the time. But so with my, I have a small shop called Concrete Botanical, and I sell painted pots and propagation stations and things like that. So I've been shipping out a lot of orders this week, but I believe I cannot talk. As far as my deadline goes, I believe I have shipped out the last pots for the season, because as you guys know, with COVID and everything, like it takes extra long to get your packages. Even if you pay more to get them like kind of rushed there, they still take a long time. So I don't want anyone to, if they order a pot, not get it on Christmas. So I've been rushing to get all of them out this week. And this morning we got our last ones out. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So now I can, worry about other life stuff like, because we're hosting Christmas this year. It's a small group. It'll just be my parents and my sister and her boyfriend. So
that's so cute.
So I just have to get the house ready. I'm trying to like decorate. We finally got a Christmas tree. So
I didn't know how you were going to fit a tree in this house, but you did. They should know about your tiny home.
And the thing is, I only had to move one plant in order to fit a Christmas tree. So, I got to say, I'm pretty proud of myself for that.
It looks really, I'm staring at it right now.
Thank you. Now, this is really funny, though, because I'm sure this will come up in our podcast, but since I have a cat and a dog, I'm sure people will ask if they actually ever bother the plants, and they don't, except Fitzy, my cat, is obsessed with our Christmas tree because it's a flocked tree, so meaning like with the fake snow. and he eats it all day.
No.
And I try so hard to make him stop eating it, but he's fine, you know. So of all things,
he's
well for now. But yeah, so it's not the plants, but he loves the Christmas tree. But yeah, so that has been my week, and it's been a good week.
Well, Holly, I think what I want to know and what the people want to know, how did you get into plants? Because I kind of expressed that it's more recent for me.
Okay.
And, I call Holly my botanical wizard because that's what she is.
Oh my goodness. I
imagine you were an apprentice at one point. You weren't always a graduated wizard, as they would say at Hogwarts. But like when, you know, for you, when was it big? Because I feel like it's definitely been longer than me, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think back. So growing up, like I can get in, you know, more into this later, but like my grandpa had plants. My mom had like one fiddle leaf fig that I remember I was the only one who would water it.
That was your chore?
Not really my chore, but like she would be at work and I'm like, oh, this poor plant, you know? But anyways, besides that, I always just had like succulents. I think I rescued an orchid from work one time, but I was never into plants. Like I was that kind of person who was like, oh yeah, I love plants. Mm-hmm. And it's like,
same,
you don't
like you think
really,
they're cute, but they're not a part of your life.
Exactly. So I moved to Los Angeles 5 years ago, and I have been working in the film industry in the camera department, but I've recently switched careers and I am a full-time plant mom, and not just like stay-at-home mom, but like like I said, I have my business, my painted pot business. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, a little bit on YouTube, and now this podcast. So I'm going for it, you know.
Building a company is what it sounds like.
Trying to. Honestly, just trying, like, the love that I get from plants. I knew that, like, I didn't want to be on set for 16 hours a day every day. I just felt so much more, you know, fulfilled doing more creative things for myself. And for me, that includes plants. So I think what really made me into plants was when I moved to LA, and my now husband and I lived in a studio apartment in downtown, which was across the street from the flower market, which a lot of people don't know. They sell potted plants, and it's so cool. Like, I had no idea. We moved in and the leasing agent said, hey, do you guys know that the flower market is down the street? And I'm like, what is that? So
what?
And you know, it's very close to Skid Row. It's like a block away from Skid Row. But I remember walking down. I'm like, what is this? This is scary. And then you walk
waiting to die.
Right. But then you walk in and there was so many plants, especially like compared to what we're used to seeing either at Home Depot or, you know, I mean,
big box stores, Trader Joe's, whatever.
Totally. They had really cool stuff, like very unique and for great prices. Like, so this was about 3 years ago, and I remember I bought a few interesting things that I still think are such a good deal. And like, let me think. I got a variegated carrii. This was in like 2018 for like $9.
Oh, it's so annoying to hear that.
Which I know
is that the big boy you have now?
Yeah. But they are coming down in price, I believe. But I feel like 2019, they were pretty expensive.
Oh my God, yeah.
So yeah, basically for the time, things that were super trendy and expensive, you can find a lot cheaper at the flower market. So I think from there, I remember I was going to film a YouTube video, and I was doing more lifestyle content at the time. And I'm like, well, I need to do a plant video and show people my plants. But at the time, I only had like one or two. So I'm like, you know what? Let me go buy a couple plants, and gotta
make sure this is authentic.
Right. And I remember I'm like, okay, I need to buy 3. And then I remember I came home. I'm like, you know what? I saw that silver plant, and now I know it was a Scindapsus pictus. I was like, oh, I want to go back for that plant. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go back for that plant tomorrow. And that's where it started from there. I kept on going back for more and more plants, and then I discovered Plant Instagram. And
dun, dun, dun.
That's where it all sort of began. And then I started ordering plants online. And I think another big part of like what really got me into plants was I was working on a movie for 2 years straight, and it was every day, like long hours, but I would buy plants online, like on set. I'd be like on set on my phone, like, ooh, this looks cool. This looks cool. And then on my days off, it really just gave me so much peace and was relaxing. So,
yes. And that was it.
And that was it.
So out of the few plants you bought that first day, if you can remember all of them, are they all still with us?
Honestly, I think I've given a lot to my sister. Let me think if I can remember what I got. Oh, it was a Pothos and Joy, or I think a Pearls and Jade, one of those. I gave that to my grandma.
That's cute.
I did end up going back for that Scindapsus, and I gave that to my grandma. Let me see. I think a Dracaena. I'll have to look. I do have a photo of like the
Your
thumbnail.
haul?
The thumbnail that I took at the time, so I'll have to look. But yeah.
You should, I know this is jumping a few years forward. You talking about the variegated ZZ that you found last year?
Yes. So
was that 2019? No, that was this year.
No, 2019. It was Christmas 2019. So another reason. Story. Yes. And another reason for people who have never been to the flower market, definitely go, because you never know. So I spent $30 on a huge
a gallon pot, or no?
Oh, I think maybe, I don't know.
It was
big. It was a big pot of just a regular plain ZZ, but 2 huge stalks of that ZZ were variegated.
Yellow.
Like bright, not just like a hint that you see like on Facebook groups that people want to charge $200 for, no tea or anything. But
let's be real. But it was at least a foot tall.
Yeah.
Like it was a mature variegated stalk. It wasn't like a baby. It wasn't a starter.
Yeah. So of course I bought that. I had no room to put a giant. So basically what I did was I separated the variegated tubers, which I think I got about 3. And then I gave the other one to my mom, just the green. But it's a gorgeous plant. Like if I had a bigger home, I would definitely, because I love ZZ plants. I think they're so cute.
They feel so modern. Like you see them in like West Elm ads and stuff. Like they're very just like, ooh, someone important lives here.
Same as snake plants, because they're very structural. Like I think those are very modern.
Yeah, I think that's what's in, because it's like a pothos and everything. They're great, but like they just do their thing, and some people don't like that.
And they're very boho, which a pothos was, I think, my first house plant.
And thought I was looking at it. It's not there. It is.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not a fan of pothos that much anymore. I do like the trailing philodendrons.
Yes,
but
like a Brazil or just like a
lemon lime.
What is it when they're just green? Just a philodendron?
Heteroraceum, like a philodendron heteroraceum.
Okay. Yeah. It's going to be a lot of me asking Holly what things are, guys. I don't know things.
You do, though. You do.
I know some. It's cute because, like, ever since I started developing my plant eye, or my green thumb, if you will, a lot of people in my life will be like, I just got a plant, Angelique. What do I do? And I'm like, and then I always just put them in a group chat with Holly, and I'm like, figure it out.
Here you go.
It's so cute. You guys will probably hear from him at some point. But my friend Matt that you met, he's like, I love him because he's at the point where he really enjoys like bringing it back to life, or like seeing.
He likes the projects.
Like or like in like the projects, the science. Whereas for me, I do like that.
I think they stress you out though if it's a project.
Sometimes I think for me it's like, at the end of the day, it's like a baby versus an adult human. Like a baby it's more likely to die on its own than like
it's just more it needs more
Angelique's canceled first episode.
Well, baby plants, or let's just say like
immature. Oh no, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, like you could say immature plants, or let's just say if it's like a problem plant, like they need more assistance,
But if they're so established and mature, they can take a beating maybe once or twice.
Less watering or less attention.
Well, that's my problem, is that I'm always like, I can always bring them back as opposed to overwatering, and I underwater severely, and it's like I shouldn't take that to the extreme, but like that's where I'm at. I'm working on it. But so I think with the projects, it's just like remembering them, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting better at it. Like I have a corner in my house that are like propagations and plant projects, and I do feel pride when I'm like, I did that. I think I did that or whatever.
You did do that.
Yes. But I think there's like, I lost my train of thought. Oh, but what I really enjoy is like when I've just had it with a plant, because it's just like, it's not looking cute, and I just don't have room. I'll just be no, you're okay. I'll be like, I'll talk to Matt, or I'll talk to another friend, but usually I'll be like, Matt, what do you think of this? It needs some work, but like, what do you think? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, it's yours. So.
It's like your secret way of just like giving him the plant. Like, this is your problem now.
I think he knows though. He'll be like, yeah, I'd love to like see what I can do. Like, I'm still, but it's cute because he and I are both equally still learning. So it's really nice because it's like, he'll be like, so you told me about to check, like, did I give it enough drainage in the soil? So I bought perlite and I'm going to add this. And I'm like, I mean, that's what I would have done. I think you're fine. And it's like, it's nice to feel like he and I are in it together,
Yes. Well, actually, this could be a whole other episode, I feel like, but just the idea of like you getting to know your own plants in your own environment is a huge thing, especially for new plant people or plant parents.
But it's stressful when, like, it's not stressful. I guess it depends on the person, but definitely, you and I both moved during COVID as well. And so I've been in a new place since like October. So it's been like 2 or 3 months, and about 2-ish. For me, it's been an adjustment because plants that did so well at my old house, that was like north facing, very small. Some of them are being dramatic and they have better lighting conditions here. And I'm like, what's wrong?
So this is your first time moving ever with plants and
with more than one.
Yeah. And your first time like as a plant collector in a new environment.
Yes. So like my Scindapsus, is it a Scindapsus pictus exotica? Is that how you would say that? You're welcome. Got that one down pat. It's the size of Canada. Like you were with me when I bought it. Remember?
I do. It's gorgeous.
Shout out to Sunrise Nursery. Is that the name?
Sunset Boulevard. Yeah.
So sorry. Sunset Nursery. I was like, Sunrise that's in Tucson. That's in Arizona, that street. But they were selling I think there was a 6-inch.
I think you did buy it in a 6-inch. Yeah.
They were selling 6-inch Scindapsus that were trailing for I think $14. All of them were trailing, but this one was huge.
Yeah.
It was so big, and I was like, that's so pretty, but like, whatever.
And I think I told you this is exceptional for the size and the price.
I saw her eyes twitching, and I was like, we're gonna fight if I don't buy it.
Well, because I didn't have room for it, but I knew what a good specimen that particular plant was. So I'm like, this would be a good deal.
And it's not a hard plant to take care of.
Yeah, it's super easy.
And I was very much like, I don't want difficult plants.
Yeah.
Still in that realm because I've killed all my alocasias and everything. But I brought this plant home. At the time, I had beautiful vaulted ceilings in my apartment, and I put it up in the sky, and it was, again, north-facing light.
And it was far away.
10 feet from any window. This thing grew in the dark for over a year, and it was huge. And now I have it in a corner of the new place where it's in the corner. It breaks middle, and on one wall, it's west-facing. The other wall's north-facing. And I was like, well, you're used to north. And now
it's ambient light now.
Yes. And she's always curled up. She's being so rude.
She's extra thirsty.
You're like, you're killing your plant. I know.
No.
I use bulbs with that one. I used to bottom water it, and I might just try that again. I just, with big hanging plants, and when you're 5 feet tall, you got to make choices.
It's going to be such a bitch with hanging plants.
Bringing them down.
And I think I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to buy any more macrame. I think I want to buy like the faux leather because it just seems so much easier. Having to untangle a Hoya from a macrame is not fun.
You're staring at was that a Carnosa? No, Crimson.
Yeah, Carnosa, Crimson Tricolor, whatever.
Holly has a huge one that I'm staring at right now. And it stresses me out looking at getting it out. Like, I don't know how.
And well, if you notice, it's like tilted over because I'm like, you're just going to have to do it. That's how you're going to be.
To be fair, I thought that was a specific look, and I always thought that was really cool.
Well, yeah, it totally is a look for sure. No, I look at that and I'm like, oh, I was so lazy. I just threw it there. So.
No, but it's okay. But you were saying that Grandpa was into plants, and is Mom's fiddle still with us?
No. That would be so cool, actually.
Imagine. I'll take this off your hands, Mom.
Oh my God, I wish. But yeah, if you want, we can segue into our main topic, which is family plants, right? Is that what we're calling it?
Our birthrights.
Yes, Hispanic grandmas and all that.
Yes, we're both Latina as well. So that was exciting. And also, just so you guys know, we're both from Arizona originally. So we're both transplants for LA.
That is right.
Most of you listening are probably also transplants.
Everybody, almost. Except for my parents. So I was born in California, and my parents...
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
They are from California, but people who are from California love California.
And they're from like OC, right?
Which, I mean, I love California too, don't get me wrong, but yeah, so basically I think also when I lived in Arizona, like it's tough to grow certain things out there other than cacti, and honestly even succulents die a lot out there because it just gets too hot,
they can thrive, but you have to be mindful of water. That's where I get confused too, because it's like I'm used to like starving my succulents and they're just fine because they get like it's just really good weather in LA for succulents and cacti.
Oh yeah, they love it outside for sure.
Yes, and then excuse me, burped. And I was like, we're drinking alcohol. Trying not to pee.
Let's just see if we make it through the whole episode without having to pee.
Oh my God, I know this is, we should place a bet on the air.
Oh yeah.
What if we both win?
At the same time, like whoever has to go pee first loses.
Has to buy the next round. There we go for episode 2.
All right, it's on.
Holly looks aggressive. She's like, I'm gonna win.
I am known to holding my pee for so long.
For me, it's like the first few sips is all it opens the gateway, and then I pee, and then I'm like, I think we're okay for a little bit. But then it's like, I don't know why, it's just like the entrance of alcohol into my system. It'll just be a drop, and I'm like, whoop.
It's like a muscle memory. It's like, oh, we have to pee.
It's like, no,
get this out of me.
I'm getting flashbacks to my 21st birthday.
I think that's one thing that people, when you're a kid, like before a drinking age, well, if you're a good kid, you don't realize that when you do start drinking, I'm like, oh my God, I have to pee.
All the time.
All the time.
Isn't worth it.
I don't know. I mean, I do love my drunken nights. Like,
I do love a good drink.
Like, you know, and we will get back to our Hispanic family plants. We will, but
alcohol's more important.
I lived in downtown. Sometimes we wouldn't even plan it. We would just randomly start bar hopping at night, and then end up at the IHOP
to it.
Or the Pantry. Have you guys heard of the Pantry? They've been open for 24/7 since like even like the riots in the 80s. Like they never closed.
Oh my God! So they're an old business.
And,
wow.
And you know it's cute. It's very nostalgic. And if you drive to downtown on a Sunday morning, the line, you know, pre-COVID would be out the door.
It's a spot. That's really
so
cool.
It's cute. So sometimes we would go there and like, yeah, it's just fun. So you know.
So nice.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
But getting back to my family is originally from California. So my grandpa, now they're from Texas, but when he lived out in California, he had a bunch of epiphyllums. So I remember seeing,
AKA for us commoners.
Oh,
is that that's not dragon fruit.
Actually, I think dragon fruit is part of it. Basically, I think
again.
Now I should have done more research, but epiphyllum, I think it's not a total blanket statement, but it's like they call them orchid cacti, jungle cacti.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. And it's like ripsalis?
It's similar to ripsalis, but it's not a ripsalis. It's, okay. I want to say the species is called epiphyllum. Okay. And there's tons of hybrids. So he had a lot of hybrids that I think he would track the names and stuff, but I don't know what they are. But it was really cool because my family, you know, we lived in Arizona growing up. So when he retired, him and my grandma moved to Arizona, and he gave most of his collection to a family friend. Wow. So and I was never into plants when he was still living, and that's one thing because I was so close with my grandpa, I wish we would have shared. Mm-hmm. So when I went to visit that friend, she was like, hey, I know you're into plants, and she gave me tons of cuttings from every single one of his epiphyllums.
That's so special.
So those are my most prized.
I think I'm looking at one out the window. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so sweet.
Those are my prized plants. Like if I had to keep any, it would have to be one of those. Yeah. I had to get rid of all of them and can only keep one. It would have to be one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They grow pretty fast too. So,
they're huge.
Like I said, I had them as cuttings, and the way you propagate epiphyllums, if you guys are familiar, you know, they have like these long, sort of strappy, succulent looking leaves, and you just cut them and you let them callus for like a week or so, and then you just stick them in soil. And they can be a little slow to start, but now they've really taken off. So
are those the ones that you get a bloom for one night only?
Yes. So
how cool.
They call them also night blooming cactus. And it's true, like sometimes I see, and it happens so fast. Like I'll see a bud. I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to bloom. And then it can be like 10 p.m. I'm like, oh, it's blooming. And then by like 6 a.m. it's starting to wilt, starting to like go away. So it's really special if you can catch them. And like, I always take a picture and yeah.
Have you ever like seen it budding and you're like, oh no, we're going to flower soon. And you have like a trip or something lined up with it. And you're like, am I going to miss it?
Yes. But luckily, like with one of them that I've had, because I've only really had one bloom out of all of them. Okay. And luckily I've always been home for it. So.
Oh, that's good.
But
I'd be so sad. I'd be like, I missed it. You have to
know.
Set up a camera for when you're not home.
I know. Luckily, it was a pretty good bloomer this summer. So,
how cool. So then you, just so I understand, you got into plants in Phoenix. I'm from Tucson. She's from Phoenix, guys. In Phoenix or it was
California.
LA because there's a flower market. Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Have you gotten familiar with plants in Arizona since? Or do you only like shop in LA? Or?
So when I do go back to Arizona, I do love to check out the nurseries because, you know, since I've moved away, plants have become way more popular, as we all know. And so I will go to some of the nurseries and I like to check out the Lowe's because I can find good cacti at that Lowe's, specifically like in Phoenix. So yeah, I definitely try because that's one thing that I do love is whenever I'm traveling, I want to check out all the nurseries, especially when we visit Tyson's family in Florida.
Oh my God.
Girl.
You've traveled home with one on a plane, have you? Yes. Oh my God.
But next time, like, especially if I ever go to Miami, I told Tyson, I'm bringing an empty suitcase and I'm going to bring tons of plants back with me.
Your plans.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
I also feel like, let me know what you think, but in my experience, getting succulents and then especially getting cacti in Arizona is the spot because you're in the desert. And I think it's priced way differently.
Especially Tucson. I think Tucson is the cactus hub. Oh my God. More so than Phoenix.
Green things in Tucson is amazing. Yeah. I went there for the first time, guys, this past November during Thanksgiving.
How was it?
Oh my God. I still didn't see all of it. I didn't have time to walk through the whole thing.
So is there multiple greenhouses?
It's acres of land. It's on farmland. Wow. Yeah, I can't wait to take you.
See, they just don't have big places like that in LA.
No, they don't. They barely have Walmarts in LA, let alone acres, like farm nurseries.
Yeah.
But
I can't wait for you to take me. It's so cool.
It's in northern Tucson, and it's an area where there's just a lot of farms and horses and stuff.
It's deserty, right?
Yeah, totally. But they just have tons of space, and they have different greenhouses. There's like the more tropicals in the back. And Josh actually selected his own little sucky when we were out there, which off topic, guys, I can talk to Holly about this off air, but I wanted to show it to you because he looks like a little monster. Like it's like the mouth of like a sea beast, it looks like. And I was like, that's definitely a succulent. And it looks like, you know what the grass, is it dandelions that bloom yellow? Like,
oh yeah, I think so.
It's like a little yellow flower just like that one. And we bought it. It was nice and bloomed, and then it was closed the next day. And we were like,
"That sounds like a lithop, not a lithop, but like the different."
Oh my God! And you said it looked like a mouth. Babe, if you're listening, grab it. Well, he's like, babe, I've been giving it water like every week, and like it just seems really good. And I'm like, I was like, just don't. I think just do what you're doing. I don't know. But it was so funny because we thought that it shriveled up in Arizona. Like the flower was just, it was at the end, and he bought it like at the end of its blooming time. We got back to LA, and he's like, babe, it's open again. I'm like, what?
That's so cool.
And I was like, he's like, I don't think this is a succulent. And I was like, your guess is as good as mine.
You'll have to send me a photo for sure.
It's so cool. But then you started talking about like the epiphyllums, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's something else. Because it was in the greenhouse while the tropicals were. And I didn't see succulents in there. Now that you're saying lithop, that's starting to make sense. And now I'm terrified because you and I killed sister lithops together. So
they always die.
But they're so cool if you don't kill them.
They're really cool.
A lot of my friends think they're so ugly.
A lot of people think they're ugly.
They hate them. And I'm like, I think they're a scientific masterpiece. I think they're so interesting.
Some of them look like brains.
They do. They look like brains or butts, depending on what you interpret it as.
I love calling them butt rocks.
And they're so cute.
I know.
Josh, actually, when I made a little medley of it in the same sort of pot that that you had given me for my nanny kid and I put together like 4 or 5 lithops together that I found because I found them at a hardware store here in LA for like
big
$3 or $4 a piece.
Yeah,
which is insane for lithops. Like that's usually double the price.
They can be a little pricey,
and these were big. Like
they were big.
There was some big boys in there, and then it rained the next day, and that was it. But it was so cute. Like I think he dubbed it a lithop farm, and I was like, I'm hashtagging that, and there's like I'm the only one.
That was so cute.
It was just
that pod. Oh my God!
Know. People, my very humble Instagram, like someone will look at it and they'll be like, "You've got such a great collection," and I'm like, half of them aren't there anymore.
They're not with us any longer. No, but a lot of them are. Like I don't think you've had that many plant deaths.
I don't tell you about all of them.
Well,
I'm just kidding. I will count that for episode 2, and I'll come back. I'll come back with a number.
Yeah,
I'm curious. When I created my Sucka for Plantas account, Josh told me it was too morbid. It was really? He's like, not the account, an idea I had. You're like, there's no blood on it. Well, because I was like, because he's really good at being creative, so I like to get like his input when I'm like bouncing off ideas. And I'm like, what do you think of me putting like my death count on the bio?
That would be really funny, actually.
I thought it was so funny. He's like, isn't that kind of morbid? I was like, I don't know. I'm still playing with it. I think it could be really funny because like,
be funny.
A girl followed me recently on, the Buy Nothing group I told you to join. I'm in the Burbank group, and it turns out we met this week, and I've already given her some plants, and she gave me. I had my first trade, Holly. I'll tell you about it later. Exclusive.
Amazing.
I'll tell you about that later, and then I'll tell you guys about it later. But long story short, we were chatting, and she added me on Instagram, and she was like, I just went through all your stories, like my highlights.
Aww.
Your plants are all so amazing. And I'm like, thank you. And I'm
so sweet.
But in my head, I was like, do I need to put like because I like track my progress on highlights for different plants.
That's really cool.
I'm like, for the ones that are gone, do I need to do a last post?
Like a funeral? Well, it honestly wouldn't be a bad idea because there are a lot of creators that I follow, and I'm like, where's that one plant? Like, I don't see it anymore. So I think
don't
to
have
have
shame.
Closure.
I know.
With the plants.
I think you're right. I'll put the death count on that. Be like number 2, number 3, number 4.
Not a bad idea. I'm here for it. I stand.
Yeah. So if you're visiting the Tucson area, or if you're in Tucson, I highly recommend. I got you're selling one right now. What is it? The obtusa. I'm thinking of calatheas now. The Apuntia Sunburst.
Yes.
I bought a tall one. Not very wide. Yours is very dense. Like you have a lot in the pot. I
think there's 3 pots. Or 3 plants in the pot.
Mine, I think, was just one, but he was a tall boy. And I got that off Facebook Marketplace in Tucson. I think I paid $15, which
awesome.
I thought was good for the height. Maybe there's cheaper out there. I think you probably got them cheaper at Lowe's, right? Was that where you were at?
I got them at Lowe's, but then I noticed in LA they were kind of expensive, like around the $30-$40 range. So,
So
you never know.
And if you live in California, it's not that long of a drive. So.
Yes.
But, for me...
Yes, tell us about you.
I always grew up with some plants around me. Like, I have flashes of childhood popping up. And I feel like, a lot of old school homes, I don't know if it's just like Arizona style or just in general, above your... Sorry, I'm snapping. I'm trying to remember. Above your cabinets, there's like a shelf space. It's not like you're not at the roof yet.
It's not like mine.
Yes, where you have that extra lip, they could have just knocked that out.
You never quite know what to do with that.
It's area. Just there. But I have like images kind of vague in my mind when I was like 4, and I remember I think my mom had like pothos and very big leafy plants everywhere. And she always liked plants, but again, like she doesn't dedicate all her energy and whatever to them. She's very just like, I like them, I have them. And when I ask her about plants, like, well, I'll show you guys eventually, but you and I have Sister Monstera from last Christmas. The Christmas present I gave you last year was this huge... I thought I was giving you a top cutting. I gave you a mid cutting, but like I found on Tucson's Facebook Marketplace, a girl was selling cuttings of a very mature Monstera that had ribbed fenestrations in the middle. Yeah. And I was like, I texted Holly, and I was like, is this a good deal? And you're like, I think so. But one was severely burnt. I gave you that one.
Hey, you're the one who found it, so I'll take the burnt one.
I was just like, I felt bad not buying it because I was just like, it just seems like there's a lot of like. It had a lot of potential is how I felt.
Totally. And it's still happy today. So I love it.
It looks so much better than mine right now. Mine's so angry. But it was just such a beautiful plant. And the thing is, though, I found it on Thanksgiving weekend. Turns out I could have fit it in the car, but I was bringing a friend back to LA with me and Josh. And I was afraid of stuffing the car with plants and making someone uncomfortable. And then I ended up sitting in the back, so it didn't matter. But... I was like, I'm going to take Holly's to LA and I'll grab mine at Christmas when I go home. And I was like, Mom, don't kill it. And she's like, my mom had one of these. I'm fine. And I'm like, okay, sorry. But my mom
she's like offended. Like
she's very nonchalant with plants. She's just kind of like, they live, okay? They're fine.
That's actually a good approach to have with plants.
I know. I get so stressed. And she's just like, it's doing its thing. She's getting a little stressed now because what I wanted to get to was, I guess she grew up with plants sort of, but we never really talked about it much. But when she started saying like, oh, your vava. I'm half Brazilian, so grandma's va or vava. She's like, yeah, your vava had some or whatever. And my mom's from Brazil, so like plants are everywhere.
Oh yeah, I think that's where the varicosums grow. I could be wrong. I think it's the only place they grow. I could be wrong. But there's this story. Sorry, I don't mean to go on a tangent. But there's a story of, I think Enid from NSC Tropicals was talking about. I could be wrong, but I think it was Brazil. How she was visiting Brazil and she saw these guys with machetes, like cutting, essentially weeds,
like landscaping,
that were varicosums off the side of the road in Brazil. Did
she get one?
No, I don't know.
She should have been like, excuse me, in Portuguese.
How would you say that?
Com licença. It's like, you're pretty much saying with license. Like, do you give me license? Like, can you give me license so I can bother you? So it's com licença.
Yes. So anyways, that's really cool.
Planta me. Like that, if you don't speak Portuguese, just like trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But, you know, that was just, I guess, kind of just a casual part of my mom's life. So I always had plants in the house, but not in every corner, like our places. It's kind of just like she had her plant spot, and my mom's obsessed with orchids. That's the one woman I know that goes to like Fry's or Ralph's or goes to Trader Joe's or to those supermarkets. She comes back with orchids, and the orchid table, my mom has an orchid table at home. It just, every time I go home, it's more cramped because her orchids don't die. My mom's orchids
they're pretty hardy, I feel like.
I forget that they're like cactus-ish, right?
Well, because they're epiphytic, so...
Right.
Yeah.
But like, for me, I feel like because you see orchids sold next to like flower bouquets at the supermarket, you just expect that they're just going to pass like everything else.
Yeah, and people will throw them out once the flower dies.
Right, and my mom doesn't. So they bloom do they bloom once a year? Do they bloom throughout the year?
Maybe they could bloom twice a year. Mine usually just bloom once a year.
Yeah, so I don't have any, but every time I go home, one of them's blooming, and I just think that's so cool. So she always had like an orchid green thumb. And
growing up, she had orchids too.
Yeah, she has a lot of plants just casually outside because our house, we have a big backyard and a pretty decent front yard, so that just, you know, just like landscaping that was there already.
Plus Arizona, Phoenix and Tucson, they're known for like your patio is always like a covered like patio.
Yes, and it helps so much. So my mom. It was funny. It was when I was 15. We visited one of her friends in San Luis Obispo, which is like between here and San Francisco. And she found a little bit of aloe. Just like in an alleyway behind her friend's house. And
no way.
I don't know if she like stole it from the ground or if it was already a cutting that was just on the floor.
Yeah.
She brought it back.
That's free game if it's just on
the floor. Right. I'm not going to speak for her, but she brought it back to Arizona. And now 11 years later, I sent you a picture once. Remember, it was in that huge, ridiculous pot. Like it's in a size pot that you see outside of like department stores. Like
with all the babies coming out, right?
Like 20 and 30 inch diameter. Like they're huge pots. My mom doesn't prune. She doesn't like cut things. She doesn't get haircuts. I'm actually still getting the courage to do a haircut myself. I know I need to start trimming my plants and encourage growth.
It's
as
so
you were
true.
Saying.
Yeah.
But I'm such a pussy. I'm just like, no, keep it what it is. But
I was too. But then when it comes to plant trades, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm just going to do it.
I'm not going to buy a new plant to trade for that. Exactly. So
they come back better than ever. So
and I just need to bite the bullet. But she's never touched this aloe. The only time it got cut, my dad got a sunburn once that was really bad, and I was like, I'll be back, and I chopped one, and I used it as like a remedy.
It's really great.
So cool. But like this thing is overflowed from the pot, and it's almost on the floor with how big this aloe's gotten.
Really?
It's huge. It's so big.
Because it has lots of little babies in it, right? I think you showed me a photo.
Yeah, it's like feels bigger than this table almost. Like it's huge. Yes. It just has babies and babies and babies and babies. And that's 11 years of this one cutting just growing.
Wow.
I don't know how the hell she's going to move it because they're trying to move homes. And I'm like, you're going to need a tow truck. I don't know how you do this.
Or put it on like a dolly with like wheels or something.
We had to wheelbarrow. So that's what I'm getting at. I'll tell you about the wheelbarrow in a sec. But on my dad's side, I've never seen a lot of plants in terms of visiting or anything. But my grandma, who's Armenian, the story I feel like gets shifted depending who I ask. But I think... So when I was little, I was told that she brought a Christmas cactus from Lebanon. But I think she had gotten it when she... moved to California, and this was like the 70s.
Oh wow,
maybe the 80s. But she's had this. Oh no, it must be less time than that because I know, if I'm not mistaken, this plant is my age, and I'm 26.
Wow.
And when my grandma in her older age went to live with my parents. So then came the plant.
Yeah.
And when she died, my mom has kept it alive. And only now this year has it been difficult. Last Christmas was the first Christmas it didn't bloom. And now it seems to be struggling. But I went home in August. My mom and I had to wheelbarrow it outside because it's so big. And we had to hammer the terracotta that had eroded to get it off. My mom told me she had never repotted this plant. It had never been touched.
Shit. Were the roots just like
everywhere?
It was all roots and no soil.
Right. I mean, she did something right because she just water bulbs them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, yeah. I mean, for her, she was like, if it's putting out flowers, it's not sad. So it was good. And then this is the first year that we're kind of struggling. But I'm actually about to send her some fertilizer options. Yay. I think it just needs food. Yeah. I think it's hungry.
It's hungry.
Because now it's kind of droopy, but like that's a 26-year-old plant. So that plant was always in my life.
That's really cool. Yeah. It's a lot of people's like heirloom plants, I feel like Christmas cactus and things like that.
It's so cool. I mean, for me, it's like a Christmas cactus's leaves, like they're cool. Like they don't impress me severely. Like I don't feel much when I see them. But the minute I see that bloom, it's all worth it. It's one of the most beautiful flowers, so I think. So vibrant too. Yeah. And you can have white or orange or pink. And my mom's is a deep pink one.
Oh,
I love it. It's so pretty. And now she loves them. Every time she goes to the store, if they're selling Christmas cactus, she buys more. So she has like a corner of orchids and a corner of Christmas cactus all year. So it's really cute. But
she's so cool.
She's a known plant thief. I don't say I support it, but like she'll just be like,
is she the one who would take snake plants?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. She went in front of my cousin's apartment complex. She was like, chop chop. She's like, look how tall they are. And I was like, Mom.
But it's like completely innocent if like your mom or your grandma does that. Like it's so cute.
We can't do it.
But if we did it, we would be canceled.
Exactly. It's ridiculous. So that's what I mean by I always had kind of plants in the corner sort of thing. Like it was always there. And I've always appreciated how beautiful they are. But I was just kind of like, I guess I wasn't living by myself. There was never a moment of like, oh, like this is the right time to get a plant. It just wasn't on my mind. It was just kind of like, if I have one, cool. If I don't, also cool, sort of thing.
I think it's like a certain amount of people, there are what they call plant blind, and they're around, but you don't really notice them,
Right. But I don't know what the switch was. I guess Josh saw how much I cried when I killed that succulent. That like, I think it was like, oh no, you can always get more. And it was like, I can buy more plants? What? And then, and then Aurora gave me some as well. And I was just like, I got a little family going on of succulents. Yes. And I've always had a soft spot for cacti just because it reminds me of home. And I'm like, oh, they're so beautiful. Aww. And like my fun fact for people whenever they would be visiting Arizona, because one of my best friends lives in England. She came to visit and I was like, did you know the state flower is a saguaro cactus? If you try to cut it down, you'll go to jail. Like that was always my fun fact. It was like you could be arrested for hurting a plant. And I thought that was so cool.
I know, right? Like the saguaros are very protected in Arizona, which is pretty cool.
So it's just it's just fun to talk about. And what how you were saying, like it brought you peace when you would come home from set. Like it is very therapeutic to just get your hands in soil and just
absolutely
do the thing. And I think sometimes I let it stress me out, but I'm just like, then I actually try to repot a plant and I'm like, why were you so stressed? Like this is fine.
Yeah. It's like self-care and plant care collide,
Yeah. Just do your nails on a different day.
Yes. That is true.
Yeah.
So cool.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry. I was just saying I loved hearing about your plant background.
Oh, thank you. Cool. It's been good. I like it. So I just, for me, I think like on this little planty journey, it's just kind of growing my knowledge and sort of just like, seeing what like makes my home feel good. Because I think that's something that you develop more with age. Mm-hmm. I'm 26. I'm not that old. But like the older you get and then when you start like living on your own and you create the space, mom and dad aren't involved with the decor and everything. It's kind of like, what makes me feel less stressed when I come home from a stressful job? Because my life is really stressful. Yes. So like, especially I guess when I got my first plant, I had just finished being an assistant, but that was always taking a toll on my life. So, I did have my one little plant during all of that. So, just what can I come home to that makes the house feel good? And, there's, your nice sofa, there's a vase, there's this and that. Mm-hmm. But I was like, everything always felt so cold. And at the time I had kind of dark decor and I was like, how do I brighten it up? And I brought one or two plants into the house and I was like, Ooh.
It's so true. It's almost like you don't realize what a big impact plants have until they're gone. So like, it's funny too, because
it feels empty after.
Yeah, like I'll be taking a couple plants off of like our shelves and I'm watering them, and Tyson will walk in the room. He's like, "Oh, it's so bare. It's so empty." He's like, "It looks dead over here." I'm like, "Yeah, like
because there's not there."
Yeah, so that's really
it's
cool.
interesting. It's like once you endow the space with some green, when it's gone, it's like you labeled the space as like a plant space, and now it's gone, and it's like, wait a second.
Oh yeah,
it's so crazy.
It's weird.
Yeah. So I like growing that, and I like feeling, I like when I come home where it's like I can be really stressed out, but then I see that my Monstera has a baby coming in, and I'm like, hi, so the world is okay.
Yes,
I'll be fine.
Dude, like literally, I had such a stressful day more recently when one of my packages like essentially just went missing, and I was
you mentioned that. Yeah,
I was so worried because the person was emailing me, and we got it all taken care of, everything was fine, but it just kind of bums you out, like, oh, where did that package go?
Yeah.
And then I saw that one of my Albo experiments finally started to grow a root. It literally changed my day. I was completely so happy, and it just like changed everything for that day. So
for me too, before we wrap up quickly, for me, even when it's like I'm mad at all, because I'm like, I always think they're dying. So it's like when I feel like I'm a failure as a plant mom that day, but then I see one little baby coming through somewhere, I'm like, at least there's that one. And then I feel so much better. Like I showed you a watermelon peperomia that I got recently. This girl on Facebook was just like, does anyone want this? Like, I'm killing it. I don't know why it hates me, but like, I don't know, I don't need it in my life anymore. And I was like, and it wasn't that rough, but like it seemed like it had been through things, and I was just like, I'll give it a try. And that's when I was like, okay, I don't have space to get a big like holly sized watermelon because yours is huge, and I do want one that big, but I was like, I just don't have the capacity for that right now. So I would be down to put one in a little like starter pot. I think that would be really cute. Stormy's up.
Stormy.
But I got it, and I showed it to you that one time, and it seemed like it just kept developing rot. This like stump that it was in, the stump fell off.
It was a stem cutting, or
it was like remember like,
oh yeah, it had like a base.
It had a base. The base rotted, and I was like, we're running out of nodes, guys. But I put it in water, and then like 3 days ago, I looked at it and I was like, I think that's a little root. Yes. And then I put it under, I recently bought some grow lights and put them in my bathroom, so there's a little bit more humidity and it's a warmer space. And then I looked yesterday, and I have 3 little babies coming in, and I'm
so
like,
special.
I did it.
You did it.
It's just, it's the little things, because I do tend to, I need to get better about this, but I tend to beat myself up when the world isn't going perfectly.
Yes.
And I'm like, how could I do this to my life? And then you see a little bit of like a little baby come in. It's like,
it kind of teaches you things on life. There's always going to be a new leaf,
exactly.
new life, new opportunities. It's the best.
Yes. I love it.
And we've had, a few drinks, so we're feeling the love.
We're a little emotional right now.
Well, honestly, I love, like, it's so funny, like, not to go on a tangent, but sometimes when I am drinking a lot, I'll just walk around with my plants and be like, I love you. And I just really notice the leaves. And, like,
that's another thing about like growing up with like family, and like I feel like plants are really big in Latino culture and stuff. So It was always just so normal for me.
Yeah.
But my mom, she's someone that like loves to like teach you things, and like I'll tell her like my plants are being whatever, and she's like, you need to talk to them. Aww. You need to tell them they're beautiful.
My mom says the same thing.
Yes.
She's like, I walk up to this plant and I'm like, you're doing good.
My mom's, she will die. Like I'm not saying that's not true. Like I do believe it. I think there's been like studies on like when you talk to a plant, does it act differently? I don't know. I don't know who to cite. It has to do with
like the what do we breathe out?
CO2 and plants release oxygen.
Yes. So
yeah.
We'll do more research for the next episode.
We release something and they release something else, and we trade.
Yes.
But so I guess if you're literally breathing on a plant, you're giving them the thing they like.
Think.
It makes sense, I think.
That's what my mom says, and moms know. More. They know.
I have a theater degree, so don't listen to anything I say.
And I have a film degree, so from ASU, so don't listen to me.
But my mom's always like, when she tells me, she like repeats what she does. She's like, this is what I do. And I'm like, okay. She's like, hello, you're so beautiful. You're just looking so good. You're just such a beautiful girl. Yes. I'm like, Mom, it's not your dog. I don't. She's like, well, she's so beautiful too. She's talking about the dog. It's very cute. And she's like, that's all I need. I don't need to change soil. I don't need to change pots. I don't know why you do all that. You just talk to them and give them a water bowl.
Everyone listening, take advice from that. It's solid advice.
Yeah. Just do the thing.
Yes. Oh, this was amazing.
This was so
much, Angelique.
Thank you, Holly. So much fun.
Yes.
It's a ray of sunshine in the year of 2020.
Yes.
And that's why we're launching this in 2021.
Yeah.
Because it's a new beginning.
New year, new beginning.
I'm so excited.
Me too. Well, make sure you guys, give us a follow. Maybe give us a review.
Please. We are at, what are we at?
Boozy Botanical Podcast.
There's no the. Is there a the? We clearly are doing great, guys.
Yeah, don't worry. This is a new venture.
Yes.
It's okay.
Oh, it's at, follow us, guys, at Boozy Botanical Podcast. Boozy, just in case you spell it with an IE, it's wrong. It's BOOZY Botanical Podcast. And Holly, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Concrete Botanical _.
Is it like that on TikTok as well?
On TikTok, it's actually just Concrete Botanical. No one took it. So I was able to claim that early.
Oh, there you go.
I don't have to add the _.
Good. And then for me, guys, you can follow my plant adventures at Succa for Plantas, SUCCA for Plantas. And then if you just want to see my regular adventures, it's at the Angelique with 2 E's at the end. And I got a lot of handles, guys. If any of you are interested in a comedy podcast where you talk all things the workplace and getting fired, I produce a podcast called So I Got Fired, and I do that with my friends Mariah, Isaac, and then my boyfriend Josh. So Mariah and Josh are hosts, and Isaac is our sound guru, and I'm just there. So
it's a good one.
Holly's actually been a guest on that podcast.
I'm an alum.
You are an SIGF alum. So if you ever want to catch up and just kind of get more of your origin story and stuff too, there's a lot of info on that episode, I guess is what it's called. It's on that episode.
Nice.
So you can find all things that podcast at So I Got Fired as well.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much, and we'll talk soon.
Yes. Ooh.
Cheers.